Erin, you look amazing. Thank you so much for making time to speak with me. I just got to ask you right up top, how are you and Rob doing? And of course, your grandson, how are you guys all doing leading up to, as we talk to the holiday season?
Oh, really well. Thanks for asking, Rudy, and thanks for inviting me to be here today. It seems like we're so out of step with the rest of the world. Of course, we're double vaxxed. We're waiting for the booster. Colin's going to be getting his. Colin is 7 years old now, and his little sister is 2, so she can't have the shot. Um, so I'll give you an example of how we're doing. Last year was 5 years since our daughter, our only child, Lauren, had died. And I put up a tree. And every day I would add a few more ornaments and go, okay, I can do this, I can do this. Well, this year, Brooke's tree was so beautiful. And this is Lauren's widower's wife and Colin's mom and mom to baby Jane. Sure, her tree was so beautiful. So I said, okay, do mine. So we were away for 2 weeks and Brooke made all the bows. She went to the dollar store and like on a $266 tab, I think it was, she completely redid our tree. And it's just such a symbol of our families being gently tied together and coming out looking pretty good and feeling even better. So it was a really nice symbolic tree for us this year as we're all together.
I love hearing that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And, it's about the same time as when I lost my older brother too. And, as they say, you, it's funny because I always think about this because people have always said to me before, be like, oh, time heals. Time never heals. You adjust, but time never heals. And I remember I was talking to Brett Hitman Hart. I was having lunch with him
Mhm.
a couple of years ago, and he was talking about his brother when his brother passed away. And he said every day he thinks about his brother in some way, shape, or form. That's the way I feel. I think about my brother
Yeah,
all the time. Like there's not a moment that doesn't go by where suddenly I start thinking about him. And
sure.
that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you because as we are going into a new year, 2022, a lot of people have gone through a lot these past couple of years, especially during the last 2 years with COVID, losing their job, losing family members, not being with
Li-
people.
Right. Connection.
Exactly, exactly. And every year, everybody seemed like 2019, they're like, we got to get to 2020 because everything's going to change. And
Yeah.
of course, 2020 was worse.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
going into 2021, people were like, let's get there. And the waves were still hitting, even though vaccinations and things, I mean, it was still tough out there. And now we're going into 2022. And it seems like people still have that mindset. I thought you were probably the perfect person to speak with in talking about when going into a new year doesn't always necessarily mean everything changes. People, to me, are still bringing, and I use this term with respect, baggage from what they've had in the past into a new year. How do they deal with bringing that baggage into something that they want to consider a whole new start?
That is a great question. I remember in the worst years of my life actually taking a physical calendar and throwing it in the fire on New Year's Eve. And I don't know if there was the satisfaction of getting rid of an awful year or just being able to say, okay, that physically is done and it's time to start a new one. So we can try and do that. There are different ways that you can, physically manifest the symbolism of the things of the past year that you didn't like. But in doing that too, you have to be able to hold on to the things that you did like. And I don't know if you felt this the first year after your brother passed, and same with me. New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, I was tremendously sad because now the calendar meant we were a physical year away from when the person we loved so much was alive. So that changing of the calendar brought a great deal of sadness. This year, we can be, we have to change the way that we think. And it's cognitive behavioral therapy. It's the kid who's digging through the pile of manure because they know there's a pony in there somewhere. I think right now we are all still digging through that pile of manure. And there has to be a pony in there. There has to be some kind of a prize at the end of it for having gotten through this and survived and going through the inconveniences and the very least end, and the horrific changes and challenges and even deaths on the other end of it. And it's all going to be in the way that we think, and only changing the things that we can, going back to the serenity prayer, always, always.
But people still have that mentality of New Year's resolutions. Does
Yes.
that work?
Well, it works for some people. For me, my New Year's Day has always been the day after Labor Day. And it goes back to being a school, like being in school. It was a chance to get all new papers, all new books, all new friends, some, and teachers and experiences and that sort of thing. For a lot of people, New Year's Day just feels like the same old, same old. A lot of them are hungover, and I'm gratefully sober every morning that I wake up and I'm not hungover, and that includes New Year's Eve especially. But I think that it's all completely in your mindset. If you set a resolution, a lot of people are saying, I'm just setting up to fail. Well, if that's the way you're going into it, well, then that's exactly what's going to happen. But don't look at the end of the marathon. Just get up to that first stop sign, And if you're looking at losing weight, for example, don't say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. Say, I'm going to lose maybe a pound or a half a pound a week. And guess what? At the end of the year, that's 50 pounds. So it's all in how you frame things, and just, one step at a time. So truly taking it all little.
Take a little, you kind of talked a little bit about when you lose family members.
Yeah.
And we just talked about New Year's resolutions. But what about the folks who lost their job and are struggling to find a new one? And as we know, in this time period, things are very slow. People aren't hiring right now. Usually it doesn't start kicking in until maybe February, March, or even in April. What advice can you give folks who are struggling and who are, looking for that job? And some of them are saying, you know what, why am I going to bother? Nobody's going to hire, especially not in this climate.
Right. To me, it would be change your perspective. Not, I guess I'm sounding like, remember what a broken record was, or a cassette that the tape had been pulled out of. I know I'm repeating myself here, but in this case, if you are so set on one thing and that one thing is not happening, change your sails. The winds are still going to be there, but you adjust your sails and go, well, what's in that direction? Where do they need people? Where do they need someone with my skills or my abilities? Or what skills and abilities can I acquire while I'm not doing anything else that will make me valuable in that direction? Be the thing that they need, the person that they need, because you only bring the unique qualities and gifts that you have to the world. And also, one of my very favorite sayings from an old ad man named Zig Ziglar is early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise. Let people know what you do, why you can do it, how you can do it. Up your skill set. I'm telling you, Rudy, this past year, I have been fighting Instagram myself at night, in my pajamas, trying to get my videos up, and they got reels and they got all these different things. And it's a struggle. I'm not 24. I don't have access except my daughter-in-law. She's pretty good at this stuff. We all need somebody who's, a Gen Z or younger to figure out all of this stuff. That, work on your skill set. Stop saying, I can't do that. I can't do that. Yes, you can. There are videos galore out there showing people like me how you can do that, how you can get on TikTok to let your message out. You don't have to be on there, shimmying or putting on lip gloss. Everything, all of these platforms can be used to your benefit.
You said something that I think is really important. It's something that I sort of had to adjust myself because being an old guy, I had to sort of swallow my pride, and I had to learn that I had to go to younger folks and ask them for advice, where I was used to when I was growing up. I went to the older guys. Yeah, it was like, wait a minute, now this is in reverse. Again, what do you say to folks who are either, it's hard for them to swallow their pride to do it, or in a lot of ways intimidated because they don't want to go to a young person and say, hey, can you help me? Afraid that the younger person might say, well, what's wrong with you? Why won't you know this? Or not even understanding what is being told to you.
That's a really good observation, Rudy, that you used to go to the older people for advice or people who had the experience. But in this stuff, there's nobody. We are the older people and we're going, you're right. We have to turn around. It's just a matter of opening yourself up and being strong enough to be vulnerable. And there is such strength in vulnerability, whether you're asking for help for a broken heart or for a mental illness or because nothing feels right, or in this case, because you don't know how the hell to do this. And why does Apple keep changing things? You know, sorry. We just learn stuff and then it's like, oh, we're going to do this in our next operating system. But why? It was fine. Now, you know that there are entire groups of people who have more face jewelry that they look like they fell down the floor or fell down a set of stairs carrying a tackle box, who are all figuring out how to mess with your head. So we just have to be brave enough to ask someone younger. I know you got younger people in your life, and just say, all right, how do I get around this? And why is my video too long for this? Well, it's because reels are only 2 minutes. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. So, you know, not being afraid to ask for help. Or there's always your friend YouTube, because there's always somebody on there who has just put together a video like 3 weeks ago on the problem you're having. So do a little bit of digging and don't be afraid to ask for help. I suspect, Rudy, that people like being asked for help. I know I love to. I can't help with a lot, but I can talk.
And you're doing a great job for us now, you know, and that goes to another thing, because going into a new year, as the years have gone by, I mean, when you and I first met, we did Facebook, social media. What was that? You know, you needed
Right.
information, you went to a phone book, or, you know, you went to a library. You know,
Yeah,
those are
if you
things.
wanted information on a song, if you were playing a new song by, I don't know, Ricky Martin, you went to the Billboard book and you looked back to see how high his last song charted. Or, I mean, physically, the Billboard books were our Bible in the studio, and they looked like a 15-year-old phone book in a bus station. But
Exactly.
now it's just like click, 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 and there it is. Okay, she hasn't had a hit since 2000. Or how often does Mariah Carey come out of her hole and see her shadow? You know, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's right there at our fingertips. We're not used to this,
And
so
that's
let's
the
use it.
but that's the thing, though, because we are so now reliant on that technology, and on social media, and on Facebook, and
Yeah,
on Instagram.
yeah,
And there are
yeah.
people who, as the years go on, literally rely on their self-esteem through
Oh,
social media. I was lucky enough to be born when I was, so I don't have to tie myself into it. But as we know, there are people born in this era. Um, is how do people how do you think people should be able to, yes, social media is important, I get that, but at the same time learn that it's like a job or anything else. It's one thing, it doesn't mean it's who you are. But then again, with social media, in a lot of ways, it is who you are. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I do. And I guess that you and I, having had careers in media, we're able to see the difference between who you are there and who you are here. Now, for people like you and me, those things, they overlap a lot. I am the same person that I was on the radio, but then we've all met people who have different on-air names, and then when they leave the station, they are a completely different person. That's almost an analogy for social media, because if you put too much of yourself out there, if you're the real person, then there are going to be people who just have fun taking you down. Now, I'm lucky. The persona, the person I am, is the person people see, and so they are kind. And I come from a place of kindness, and all of my social media is about kindness. Now that Trump is gone, I've cleansed myself of all of that. It really did take me over in a bad way, and I'm not proud of who I was when I was posting about the mango Mussolini. But anyway, so if you've got to be able to separate yourself and realize when people are taking shots at that person on their screen, they don't know you. They don't know you, and you don't know them. So I would have to care about you as a person, to care about what you think of me. And the former TV personality, Deanie Petty, put it in such beautiful terms years and years ago in a magazine interview. And I'll never forget where I was when I read it. She said, what you think of me is none of my business. And I thought, wow, yeah. Like, why would I care what you think about your favorite kind of cookie? Am I going to change what I eat or what I bake, as if I baked, because you don't like chocolate chip cookies? It's just like, why would I care what you think? But now there is so much invested in what other people think of you. Are they going to be there for you when you really need them, when they have taken you down and you're ready to end it all? Are they going to be there for you? Hell no, they've moved on to talking about Jennifer Lawrence's baby bump. Who cares, right? So just if you can put it in that mindset that this is what you do for fun, this is you playing with Barbies or G.I. Joe, or you with the wrestlers and Rock'em Sock'em, I'm sure, Rudy. All of those toys. But don't let the people think that they can affect what's happening in your life because they're having fun with your game of Barbies. Does that make any sense?
That makes sense. And I just want to add to it, is that the same way to think about when you've held, because again, we've gone through a tough 2 years and there's been a lot of anger that's been built
Oof.
up, and you can
Yeah.
have anger towards somebody. How do you let that anger go? Because the things that I've learned is, when you still have that anger, you put yourself in a prison. How do you let that go when sometimes you're still thinking over and over in your head, but this person did that and they need to be punished, and why am I not seeing that this person's not being punished for what they've done?
Oh, it's the karma thing. I know. I know. I was just reading a tweet this morning about all of the things that have happened since January 6th of 2021, and no charges basically for the organizers and the people at the top. And then my husband, Rob, who he's very good at saying, can you change this? And it just takes you back. All you have to do, Rudy, and it sounds so simple, is God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Doesn't matter what some Canadian woman who's, probably over caffeinated and watching far too much news on television. Does it matter what I think about anything? Am I voting for any of these people? No. Change what's happening with logging or the Trans-Canada pipeline or whatever it is that, kind of, touches you or affects you. And then just try and let the rest go until you can either vote on it or sign a petition on it or make a difference by having a platform and talking about it. Otherwise, it's just doing you harm. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. Your journey started when you lost your beautiful daughter, and you shared your experience with us, not just on the radio, but in a book that you wrote. If you want to remind folks about this amazing book, because it does help a lot of people.
Thank you. I'm looking around to see if I've got it near me because I often do for interviews, but it's called Morning Has Broken, Love, Loss, and Reclaiming Joy. And the first year it came out in hardcover in 2020. What year is this? 2021. Anyway, soft cover, it came out during the pandemic. So it didn't sell any copies of the soft cover. So that's always a reminder that life happens and you can't affect that. But yeah, it wasn't about selling the book. It wasn't about getting rich, because in Canada, as someone wise said, the only way to get rich is to write a hockey book at Christmas. But it was just to share not only our story, but the story of other bereaved parents, and to let people know that they're not alone. There's no timeline, there's no GPS. However you're grieving, unless you're hurting yourself, is the way you have to grieve. And Rudy, I just got an email earlier this week from a fellow who read the book when it first came out, and he's bought a few more copies for people he knows who are going through things. But he was looking for more information on me, and he found an interview that you and I did, and he was really grateful for that. So it's really, that'll be my legacy. That's all the Broadcasting Hall of Fame this year, which happened via, Zoom. That keeps you humble, Rudy. It really does, when you're just sitting here waiting for the FedEx guy to deliver your damn award. But that kind of stuff, it's lovely, and maybe it'll make my obit one day. But what really matters is if we were able to turn our tragedy into something that could help other people, because it's got to be for something, right? There has to have been a reason.
Amen to that. As
Thank you.
we wrap this interview up, what do you want to say to folks out there as we do reach 2022 and they are looking for immediate change, but as we know, that takes time?
Yeah, yeah, instant gratification and change. Um, I think that Oprah said it best when she said luck is when preparedness meets opportunity. And if you're waiting for the opportunity, just be ready. Up your skills, reset your sails to maybe look into a different area where people may be needed. I mean, you and I have seen what's happened with radio and media. They're just cutting, 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 cutting. I despair for the people who really, really want to do this, but the ones who can will. But find other ways. If you need to communicate, be like Rudy. Find a way to do things, and in front of a gorgeous studio and stuff. As I am here at a hotel called the Villa Erin on the Malahat in British Columbia. This is one of my favorite shots. That's a fjord over my shoulder, by the way.
Love that.
Yes, yes. Um, it just find ways. Use this time to up your skills. Read more. Find out what you want to do and who you want to be, and just be better. I'm going to learn to cook in 2022. I can cook now, just get something done, get somebody fed. But I bought a set of cookware. It's still in the box. So if I don't do something with that cookware, it's going to haunt me for spending that money on a nice set. So if you read that something happened to Rob in 2022, I'm not going to be on Dateline. It's just I was trying to cook something.
He's Chuck Norris. He can survive anything.
Oh my God, Chuck Norris.
Look, before we go, I have one other question I'm just curious
Yes, my
about.
friend. Yes.
Are you called Granny, Gramps,
Nope.
Grandma?
Nope.
What are you called?
Grandma Banana.
Are you
Grandma Banana.
serious?
Yeah, I was thinking Grand Marnier, but that doesn't go well. Rob is Grand Dude, which is the absolute best. And we borrowed that from Paul McCartney. Grand Dude, Grand Dude. And I'm Grandma Banana. No D, just GRAMA, Grandma. And we are the Bananas because when we were starting to do Zoom with Colin in Ottawa, we would try and, make it really interesting, and we'd have bananas on the phone and stuff. And we needed to kind of spark him and be fun and funny. So Grandma Banana, and that's who I am.
Oh my
And
God,
it's the best name.
that's a '70s thing. Like I'm thinking of the banana splits right now, the
Of
banana
course.
convention. That's a '70s thing.
Legal. Yeah, one banana, two banana, three banana, four. Yes, and Danger Island.
Oh my
Danger Island's
goodness,
next.
I
I
love
know.
this. Oh, good times. Always a great time talking to Erin. Love you to death, and I can use that term with you. Love you to death.
Yes. Hey, I have a question. Do you have
Yes.
a resolution for 2022?
Yeah, it's just being a better person and just trying to whatever I've been maybe angry about, I'm trying everything I can to put that aside. And I love the progress that I've been doing in this last year, so I want to continue on it and to see it grow. And that the people who have been at my side for years, I
Mhm.
want to be able to really give back and help them. And that's the honest truth. That's my 2022.
It's great. And it's not reaching for, finishing a marathon. It's just making changes or adjustments within yourself.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that.
You know what? The thing is that there are times I wake up and I had to learn not to wake up angry,
Yeah.
which was so important. So I
Yeah.
wake up now and I literally was almost, you can say, force myself to think of something good because I realized if I wake up angry, I've set the tone of my day. So now I
Right.
try to wake up to think of something good and hold on to that for the first hour or so as I'm getting ready to post an interview or something like that. And I'm thinking about what I need to do for the day so that the day goes better. And I never realized until a while ago that when I woke up angry, I set the pace for that day of being angry. And I don't ever want to
Absolutely.
go back for that.
Absolutely. And your inbox can do that too. You just wake up happy and all of a sudden you get a punch in the face. No, I totally get that, Rudy. I don't know how you can be a better person, honestly. But I do think that one piece of advice that I have when I go to sleep at night and I'm lying on the pillow. And of course, everything that has ever happened in your whole life comes into your head to remind you, the person that you're angry at, are they thinking of you right now? And the answer is, the person who hurt you or slighted you or didn't pick you for whatever, they're not thinking about you right now. And that to me was an eye closer, not an eye opener, but an eye closer. It's like, yeah, they are so not thinking of me right now. I'm not giving them that space. I'm going to sleep.
Definitely been learning that. Erin, thank you so much for this interview. Like I said, love you, Rob. And I am praying that sometime in 2022, I don't care if I got to come up to you guys, or you guys are here. I'd love to see you guys again soon.
I'm singing Get There by Alita Adams in my head right now. Thank you, Rudy.